All right, let's talk about something that can be a real headache for any car owner: transmission trouble. If you've got a weird issue going on, the culprit might just be this one mysterious code, P0705. So in this explainer, we're going to unravel exactly what your car is desperately trying to tell you.
So, does this sound familiar? You hop in your car, you put it in drive, and clunk. It shifts with this awful jolt. Or maybe it feels like it's totally stuck in one gear and just won't go any faster. Or, the worst one, it won't start when it's in park, but for some reason it will in neutral. Yeah, all those super frustrating symptoms, they could all be pointing back to one single problem.
Okay, so what is this P0705 code anyway? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of what it actually means.
So the official fancy name is Transmission Range Sensor Circuit Malfunction. But, what does that actually mean? Well, in plain English, it means your car's brain, the computer, is getting totally confusing signals. It's like it's being told the car is in park and drive at the exact same time. And, well, that's impossible, right? So this confusion is what flips the switch on that pesky P0705 code and, you guessed it, lights up your dashboard with that check engine light.
The easiest way to think about this sensor is to imagine it's like a translator for your gearbox. You move the shifter, from park to reverse or to drive, and this little sensor's only job is to tell the car's computer, hey, they picked drive. If that translation gets garbled or lost, the transmission is basically flying blind. It has no idea what you want it to do.
Okay, let's clear something up. Because if you've been Googling this, you've probably seen a ton of confusion. People are arguing, is it a transmission range sensor or a neutral safety switch? Here's the deal. They used to be different parts, but on most modern cars, they're the same thing. It's one component that does two really important jobs. It tells the computer what gear you're in, and it acts as a safety feature to make sure the car only starts in park or neutral.
All right, so we get what the code is, but what are the telltale signs? How does this problem actually show up when you're behind the wheel? And what are the usual suspects causing it?
The symptoms can range from kind of weird to, oh no, something is seriously wrong. The check engine light is your first and most obvious clue for sure. But then there's the stuff you can feel. Your car might suddenly go into what's called limp mode, where it gets stuck in second or third gear. It's a safety thing, but it's super scary when it happens. Or you look down and your dashboard says you're in drive, but you're clearly in reverse. If the shifts feel really harsh and clunky, or if your car refuses to start in park, those are all huge red flags.
So who are the main culprits behind all this chaos? Well, number one, and the most common cause by far, is that the sensor itself has just given up the ghost. It's worn out. After that, you got to look at the wiring. We're talking corrosion on the connectors, maybe a wire that's been rubbed raw and is shorting out. Less common, but still on the list, is a problem with the shift linkage not being adjusted right. And then, in very rare cases, the bad guy could actually be the transmission control module, the computer itself. Okay, time to put on our detective hats. How does a technician actually track down the root cause of this P0705 code? Let's walk through their investigation.
Any good mechanic is going to follow a clear, logical process. Step 1. They'll plug in a scanner to confirm, yep, it's a P0705 code, and see if any other codes are hiding in there. Next, it's a visual inspection. They're going to get under the car and look at the sensor, the connector, and the wiring for anything obvious, like corrosion or damage. If everything looks okay, that's when they bring out the multimeter to actually test the electrical signals. And as a good rule of thumb, they'll also check the transmission fluid. Low or burnt fluid can cause all sorts of weird shifting problems on its own.
So, what are they looking for with that multimeter test? It's actually pretty simple logic. The car's computer is only supposed to get one on signal at a time. So when you're in park, it expects to see the park circuit light up and everything else should be off. The P0705 code pops up when the computer sees something that just can't happen, like if it gets a signal that says you're in park and drive simultaneously. It knows that's wrong and it throws a flag.
And this is where something like a wiring diagram becomes absolutely essential. It's like a roadmap for the car's electrical system. A technician will use this to figure out which pin on that sensor's connector corresponds to which gear. Then, with their multimeter, they can test each pin one by one as someone shifts through the gears.
This is how they figure out if the bad signal is coming from inside the sensor itself, a problem in the wiring between the sensor and the computer, or, rarely, the computer.
All right, so once the problem's been found, what's the fix? Let's talk about the path to getting your car shifting smoothly again.
So now you've got a decision to make. Do you tackle this yourself, or do you take it to a pro? Look, going the DIY route can definitely save you some serious cash on labor, and it can be a really satisfying job to do. But be warned, sometimes these sensors are easy to get to, and sometimes they are buried deep inside the transmission. A professional service is going to cost more, of course, but what you're really paying for is their experience, their expensive tools, and usually a warranty on the repair.
Now here's the real kicker. This is the one question that might just make the decision for you. Does the new sensor need to be programmed? On a lot of newer cars, you can't just slap a new sensor in and call it a day. It needs to be calibrated or taught to talk to the car's computer, and that requires special dealer-level scan tools. That's a step that's pretty much impossible to do in your driveway.
Okay, let's talk about the bottom line. The part everyone wants to know. What's this going to cost me? If you're taking it to a shop, you can probably expect the total bill to land somewhere in the ballpark of $200 to $800. Now that's a pretty big range, I know. It really depends on what kind of car you have, how much of a pain it is to get to the sensor, and just what the labor rates are in your area.
So what makes up that cost? Well, it's pretty much a split between parts and labor. The sensor itself can be all over the place, price-wise. You might find an aftermarket one for $50, or the genuine dealer part could be $350 or more. Then you've got the labor, which can be another $100 to $350, all depending on how much stuff the mechanic has to take apart to get to it.
But listen, prices can get kind of crazy. Check out this story from a Reddit user. They had a Dodge Dart, and the dealer told them the part alone was $1,500. Ouch. But then they offered to Goodwill the repair and only charged them $100 for it. The lesson here, it never, ever hurts to ask, especially if it's a known issue or the car's relatively new. You might get lucky.
All right, we've gone through a lot here, so let's wrap this up. What are the key things you absolutely need to take away from all this?
Okay, let's boil it down to the essentials. First, P0705 simply means your car is confused about what gear it's in. Second, the symptoms, like limp mode or not starting, are your car's way of screaming for help. Third, the cause is almost always the sensor itself or its wiring. And most importantly, do not ignore this code. Trying to drive with this problem can put a huge amount of stress on your transmission, leading to much bigger problems.
So I'll leave you with this one last question to think about. Is it worth paying a few $100 now to check out a simple sensor to avoid a potential $3,000 plus transmission failure down the road? When you put it that way, the answer seems pretty obvious, doesn't it? Fixing this isn't just about clearing a code, it's about saving yourself from a massive, wallet-draining repair.
Subscribe for more straightforward car repair